The first thing Naomi Carter noticed when she opened her eyes was that her wedding ring was gone. Not the pain. Not the steady beeping beside her bed. Not the strange heaviness running from her hip down her left leg. Not even the thick bandages wrapped around her shoulder. Her wedding ring. Her right hand rested on top of a white hospital blanket. Her fingers were swollen, her knuckles bruised, and around the base of her ring finger was a pale strip of skin where a thin gold band had rested for almost 9 years. Naomi stared at that empty space. For several seconds, she couldn't remember why she was looking at it. Then something flashed through her mind. Rain hammering against a windshield. A traffic light. Headlights appearing from the left. A horn. Metal screaming. Glass exploding. Then nothing. Naomi tried to lift her head. Pain ripped through her body. She gasped and fell back against the pillow. A nurse hurried through the curtain. "Mrs. Carter?" Naomi blinked at her. "Where's Marcus?" Her voice sounded weak and unfamiliar. The nurse checked the monitor beside her. "You're awake, that's very good." "My husband." The nurse paused. Only a second. But Naomi noticed. She had always noticed the seconds people hoped she wouldn't. He was here earlier. Earlier when? This morning. Naomi turned toward the window. Rain streaked the dark glass. "What day is it?" "Thursday." Naomi frowned. "The accident was Monday." "Yes. 3 days. She had lost 3 days. My daughter? Your sister has her. Ava is safe." Naomi released a breath so violently she started crying. "She wasn't in the car?" "No. You were alone. Thank God." Ava was 6 years old. Curly hair. Brown eyes. One front tooth slightly crooked. Safe. For several seconds, nothing else mattered. "Can I talk to her?" "Your doctor wants to speak with you first." Naomi nodded. Then she looked at her hand again. "My ring. Your jewelry was removed when you were admitted. Where is it?" "Your husband signed for your belongings. Marcus had it." That should have reassured her. Instead, something cold moved through her chest. She looked around. No flowers. No overnight bag. No jacket draped across the visitor's chair. No phone charger. No coffee. Nothing that suggested a terrified husband had spent 3 days waiting for his unconscious wife to wake. Naomi told herself she was imagining things. Marcus loved her. Their marriage wasn't perfect, but whose was? 11 years together. Almost 9 married. A daughter. A mortgage. Sunday pancakes. Christmas traditions. Arguments over thermostat settings. Inside jokes nobody else understood. A life. People didn't simply disappear from lives like that. At least that was what Naomi believed Thursday night. By Friday morning, she would understand that an accident could break much more than bones. And by the time Marcus Carter finally understood what else had happened while his wife lay in that hospital bed, the woman he abandoned would possess something neither of them had ever imagined. Not just money. Freedom. And before this story ends, Marcus will stand in front of Naomi, asking for something he once believed she would always give him. Another chance. What Naomi does when that moment comes, however, isn't what anyone expects. If you enjoy emotional stories about women rebuilding after betrayal, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. And tell me in the comments as you listen, if someone abandoned you during the lowest moment of your life, could you ever forgive them if they returned after you became successful? Because Naomi would eventually have to answer that question. But first, she had to survive Friday. At 9:20 the next morning, Dr. Samuel Levin entered Naomi's room carrying a tablet. A physical therapist named Elena followed him. Naomi immediately knew she wasn't going home anytime soon. Dr. Levin pulled up a chair. "You sustained several significant injuries." "How significant?" "A fractured pelvis, 2 fractured ribs, a severe injury to your left knee, and substantial nerve trauma around your shoulder." Naomi listened without blinking. "Will I walk?" "Yes." The answer came quickly enough that she could breathe again. "But recovery will take time." "How much?" "Months." Naomi stared at him. "I work. I know. I'm an interior designer. I'm on construction sites. I meet clients. I can't spend months." Her voice broke. She looked away. Sorry. You don't need to apologize. What about my arm? We expect substantial recovery, but you may have weakness for a while. May. There were certain words that seemed harmless until doctors used them about your body. May. Possible. Likely. We'll see. Naomi stared down at the blanket. Was the accident my fault? No. Her eyes snapped toward him. The preliminary report indicates another driver entered the intersection against the light. Your vehicle was hit on the driver's side. Naomi remembered headlights. Who was driving? I don't have those details. Bafor. Before she could ask more, someone knocked. Marcus entered. Naomi's heart reacted before her mind did. Relief. Pure, immediate relief. Marcus. He stopped near the doorway. Hey. He wore the charcoal overcoat Naomi had bought him for his 38th birthday. His beard looked slightly untidy. There were dark circles beneath his eyes. Naomi smiled weakly. Come here. He approached. Something about the way he moved felt wrong. Careful. Measured. He leaned down and kissed her forehead. Not her mouth. Naomi noticed. Dr. Levin stood. We'll give you some privacy. The door closed. Marcus remained standing. You can sit. I know. He sat. Naomi tried to joke. I look terrible, don't I? No. You hesitated. I didn't. You did. For half a second, the old Marcus appeared. A faint smile. Then it disappeared. Naomi reached for his hand. Where's my ring? Marcus looked down. I have your things. Can you bring it? His face changed. Naomi. Her hand stopped. What? Marcus rubbed both hands over his face. I don't know how to do this. Her stomach tightened. Do what? I've been thinking. Naomi stared at him. While I was unconscious? That's not what I mean. Then what do you mean? Marcus stood and walked toward the window. Naomi watched his reflection. Marcus. He turned around. I don't think you should come home. For a moment, Naomi genuinely didn't understand the sentence. What? Not right away. Obviously, they're sending me to rehabilitation. That's not what I mean. The room became impossibly quiet. What do you mean? Marcus looked directly at her. I think we need to separate. Naomi laughed. Her brain had rejected the words. I was hit by a car 4 days ago. I know. And you're asking for a separation? I'm telling you I don't think I can keep doing this. Doing what? Our marriage. Naomi stared at him. Marcus continued. We haven't been happy for a long time. Have you? He frowned. What? Have you been unhappy for a long time? Yes. How long? I don't know. Try. Maybe a year. Naomi's face changed. A year? Maybe longer. And when exactly were you planning to tell your wife? I tried. No, you complained. There's a difference. Naomi, you complained that I worked too much, that I was tired, that I cared about clients more than dinner reservations. You never said, Naomi, I'm thinking about leaving my wife and our 6-year-old daughter. I'm not leaving Ava. Naomi looked at him. You're standing in a hospital room telling her mother not to come home. Please don't turn this into something it isn't. That hurt more than she expected. What is it then? Marcus didn't answer. And suddenly Naomi knew. Not the name. Not the details. But she knew. There's someone else. Marcus looked toward the window. Naomi's breath left her. Oh my God. It isn't that simple. It rarely is when the person cheating gets to explain it. I didn't say I was cheating. You didn't have to. Naomi. Who is she? Silence. Who is she? Celeste. Naomi searched her memory. Then found the name. Celeste Morgan? Marcus closed his eyes. Enough. Celeste worked for the commercial real estate firm where Marcus was vice president of acquisitions. Naomi had met her. Christmas party. Charity dinner. Celeste had hugged her. Complimented her dress. Asked about Ava. Naomi felt sick. How long? 3 months. Where were you Monday night? Marcus looked at her. Naomi. Were you with her when I crashed? He said nothing. Were you? Yes. Naomi turned her head toward the wall. Marcus moved closer. I came as soon as the hospital called. How noble. Don't. Don't what? Make me a monster. Naomi slowly faced him. I'm lying here with a fractured pelvis, and you're worried about how I characterize you? Marcus flinched. Good. She wanted something to reach him. Anything. I'll make sure rehabilitation has everything you need. Naomi stared. My husband. What? I need my husband. Marcus said nothing. That became the moment she would remember most clearly. Not Celeste's name. Not the affair. The silence. The man who once promised to grow old beside her stood 5 feet away and looked as though her need had become an obligation he could no longer afford. Naomi's voice became quiet. Go. Naomi. Go. Marcus picked up his coat and left. She waited until the door closed. Then she cried so violently a nurse came running. 3 hours later, Naomi's older sister, Tasha, arrived carrying a duffel bag and enough anger for both of them. Where is he? Gone. 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 Where? Celeste. Tasha froze. Celeste from his office? Naomi nodded. Tasha dropped the bag. I'm going to jail. Despite herself, Naomi laughed. No, I'm serious. I need you here. That stopped her. Tasha sat beside the bed. Naomi told her everything. When she finished, Tasha held her hand. Come stay with me. I can't even get out of bed. Then I'll bring the bed. Tasha, I'm serious. Naomi looked at her sister. What am I going to do? It was the first time she had asked. Not only about Marcus. Her work. Her daughter. Her body. Medical bills. The mortgage. Everything. Tasha squeezed her fingers. You're going to do the next thing. What does that mean? It means we're not solving 10 years today. We're solving Friday. Naomi closed her eyes. Friday. Maybe she could survive Friday. Saturday was harder. Ava came to visit. She rushed into the hospital room. Mommy. Naomi's heart seemed to break and repair itself at once. Baby. Ava climbed carefully beside her. Tasha warned her about Naomi's injuries. Ava touched her mother's cheek. Does it hurt? A little. Are you coming home? Not yet. Daddy said you have to learn how to walk good again. Naomi swallowed. That's right. Ava lowered her voice. Daddy isn't sleeping at our house. Naomi's eyes closed briefly. What did Daddy tell you? He has work. Of course. Marcus had found courage for betrayal but not honesty with a 6-year-old. Naomi pulled Ava as close as her injuries allowed. We're going to be okay. Ava nodded because children sometimes believe adults simply because they have to. Naomi wished she believed herself. The following Monday, Naomi was transferred to a rehabilitation hospital. Her first physical therapy session lasted 17 minutes. She cried for 12. Standing hurt. Sitting hurt. Moving hurt. Not moving hurt. Her body had become a place she no longer recognized. Elena stood in front of her beside parallel bars. Again. I can't. You did it once. I can't do it again. Then do half. Naomi glared. Elena smiled. You can hate me. I do. Excellent. Stand. Naomi gripped the metal bars. Her left leg trembled. She pushed upward. Pain shot through her pelvis. She gasped. Breathe. I am breathing. You're threatening oxygen. That's different. Naomi almost laughed. She stood. 3 seconds. 5. 8. Then she sat. Sweat covered her forehead. Elena handed her water. Tomorrow, 10. Naomi stared at her. I used to run 3 miles before breakfast. And now you're learning something harder. What? How to begin again. Naomi hated the sentence. Years later, it would become one of the most important things anyone had ever said to her. Marcus visited twice in her first 3 weeks. The first time, he brought Ava. The second time, he brought paperwork. Naomi stared at it. I'm not signing this. It's temporary. It gives you separate control of our accounts. We're separating. It says the separation began before my accident. It simplifies things. For whom? Both of us. No. Naomi. No. Marcus sighed. You're not even living at the house. I'm in rehabilitation. I know. Do you? You always do this. Do what? Turn everything into a fight. Naomi stared at him. Marcus, I cannot walk to the bathroom without somebody beside me. His expression changed. And somehow I'm the difficult one because I won't sign away my home while I'm learning to walk again? I'm trying to keep Ava's life stable. So am I. You can't take care of her right now. The words landed. Marcus knew immediately. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. No. You did. Naomi pushed the papers toward him. Leave. Marcus gathered them. Before he reached the door, Naomi asked, Did you take my wedding ring? It's in the safe. Bring it. He turned. Why? Because it belongs to me. 2 days later, a courier delivered it. Marcus did not come. Naomi held the ring for a long time. Sell it, she told Tasha. Tasha stared. Are you sure? No. Then don't. Naomi looked at the gold band. I don't want to wear it. Then put it away. Naomi closed her fingers around it. I need to stop making permanent decisions while I'm bleeding. Tasha smiled. That's probably the smartest thing you've said all month. The ring went into Naomi's bedside drawer. 3 weeks later, a man named Henry Wallace asked to see her. Naomi didn't know the name. Tasha became suspicious immediately. He said he's an attorney. That's a lawyer. I know what attorney means. Head injury. Just checking. Naomi threw a pillow at her. It barely moved. Tasha laughed. Progress. Henry Wallace arrived at 2. Late 60s. Silver hair. Navy suit. Old-fashioned leather briefcase. Mrs. Carter? Yes. I'm Henry Wallace. I represented Margaret Sinclair. Naomi frowned. Margaret? You knew her as Maggie. Naomi's expression changed. Maggie Sinclair. One of Naomi's first independent design clients. 7 years earlier, Naomi had redesigned the lobby and common areas of an aging apartment building in New Haven. Maggie owned it. She was 78 then. Sharp, demanding, funny, lonely. The project lasted 9 months. Their friendship lasted years. Lunches, birthday cards, phone calls. Then Maggie moved to Arizona. Naomi hadn't spoken to her in months. What happened? Henry's face answered before he did. She died 6 weeks ago. Naomi put a hand over her mouth. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. It was peaceful. Maggie had no children. Her husband had died many years earlier. Naomi stared down. I should have called her. Henry let the silence sit. Then Naomi asked, Why are you here? Maggie included you in her estate. Naomi blinked. What? Henry opened his briefcase. Most of her estate went to charitable foundations, but she left you an ownership interest in one company. Naomi almost smiled from confusion. What company? Sinclair Urban Holdings. Naomi knew the name vaguely. Real estate, warehouses, small commercial properties. What kind of interest? 30%. Naomi stared at him. 30%? Yes. What's that worth? Henry hesitated. Naomi noticed. Why did you pause? Because Sinclair is currently negotiating the sale of most of its industrial portfolio. For how much? Henry removed a document. Naomi looked at the number. Then again. $38,400,000. She laughed. That's not real. It is. My 30% is worth more than $11 million? Not directly. There is debt, transaction costs, reserves, and tax planning. What would I actually receive? If the deal closes under its current terms, somewhere between 7 and 8 million. The room fell silent. Naomi looked at Tasha. Tasha's mouth was open. Naomi looked back at Henry. There's been a mistake. No. I redesigned Maggie's lobby. According to Maggie, you did considerably more. Henry handed her a letter. Naomi unfolded it. Maggie's handwriting filled 2 pages. She wrote about the year they met, about contractors overcharging her, a supplier offering Naomi a kickback she refused, Naomi staying late to restructure the project when Maggie's budget was failing. Then came something Naomi barely remembered. Maggie had once told Naomi she planned to sell the apartment building because she felt too old to manage it. Naomi had suggested turning unused storage areas into studio apartments and renegotiating the service contracts. Maggie followed the advice. The building became profitable again. She bought another property, then another, then several more. Naomi reached the final paragraph. She read one sentence 3 times. "You taught me that value can hide inside things other people have already dismissed. I hope one day this gift reminds you that the same is true of people." Naomi started crying. Not because of the millions, because a dead woman had somehow spoken directly into the ugliest season of her life. Tasha read over her shoulder. "Wow." Naomi laughed through tears. Henry smiled. "There is a complication." "Of course. The transaction hasn't closed. When will it?" "Potentially within 3 months. So I'm not a millionaire." Henry smiled. "On paper, your existing equity is substantial, but no. I wouldn't recommend spending $7 million this afternoon." Tasha sighed. "There goes my yacht." Naomi laughed and immediately grabbed her ribs. Henry continued. "Keep this confidential until the estate transfer is completed, and speak with your divorce attorney about any disclosure obligations." Naomi nodded. "Marcus knows?" "No." Naomi looked at Maggie's letter. "Maybe 7 million. Maybe 8. Maybe the sale failed and she kept the shares." The strange thing was that Naomi didn't think first about luxury. She thought about Ava. Medical bills. A safe home. Freedom. Then she remembered Marcus asking her to sign away their house because she couldn't currently take care of herself. Something shifted inside her. Not revenge. Security. "Don't tell anyone," Naomi said. Tasha looked at her. "Anyone?" "Anyone. Especially Marcus." 2 weeks later, Marcus filed for divorce. That morning, Naomi walked 43 feet with a cane. Elena filmed it for Ava. At 11, Naomi watched the recording 3 times. At noon, the divorce petition arrived. By 12:15, she was sitting on the rehabilitation bathroom floor crying. Apparently Progress and Grief had decided to share a calendar. Tasha found her. "He filed?" Naomi nodded. "I hate him." "I don't. You're better than me." "No. I'm tired." Naomi looked at the papers. "He wants the house." "Of course. He says Ava needs continuity. Ava needs a father who isn't moving his girlfriend into her house while her mother is learning to climb stairs." Naomi wiped her face. "I'm going to let him have it." Tasha turned. "What?" "The house." "No. I don't want it. You loved that house." Naomi looked at her sister. "I loved who I thought I was in that house." Silence. "I don't think she lives there anymore." Tasha studied her. "Where does she live?" Naomi glanced at the cane beside her. "I don't know yet." The divorce became ugly in ordinary ways. Furniture. Retirement accounts. Custody. A vacation membership. A painting. A dining table. Love became exhibits. Memory became accounting. Sacrifice became documentation. Naomi hated it. Celeste moved into the house before the divorce was final. Naomi learned from Ava. Celeste makes pancakes too. Naomi smiled tightly. "That's nice." "They aren't as good." "Ava, they're not." Naomi laughed, then cried after her daughter left. Meanwhile, her business was collapsing. 2 major clients canceled. Naomi understood. Construction projects had schedules. Understanding didn't make the loss easier. Her business partner, Luis Mendoza, kept what remained alive. One afternoon he sat across from her at Tasha's dining table. "You should take 6 months off. I'll lose everything. You almost died. And now I have bills." "Naomi, I need work." Luis looked at her cane. "Then we change the work." "How?" "You stop going to construction sites. That's half my job. It used to be." He opened his laptop. "What if we focus on design strategy, feasibility, space planning, pre-development consulting? Clients don't hire us for that. Not yet." It was the second time Naomi had been asked to find value where she saw limitation. Maggie, now Luis. She agreed. Slowly, Carter's studio changed. Naomi began advising developers before they purchased buildings. She discovered something. She was unusually good at seeing what other people missed. Unused basements. Badly configured retail spaces. Poor leases. Zoning opportunities. Neglected buildings. She had been doing it for years. Now she gave it a name. And charged for it. 4 months after the accident, Naomi walked without a cane for the first time. 12 steps. Ava screamed as though her mother had won the Olympics. Tasha cried. Naomi cried. Elena pretended not to. That same week, Henry called. The Sinclair transaction cleared due diligence. Naomi sat down. What does that mean? The buyer is proceeding. When? The 28th. How much? Final numbers are still being calculated. Henry. He laughed. Approximately $7.6 million to you before personal tax obligations. Naomi stopped speaking. Naomi? I'm here. You need a tax attorney and financial advisor. Okay. And Naomi? Yes? Congratulations. She ended the call. $7.6 million. Her checking account currently contained less than $15,000. She still had medical expenses. Her company was barely surviving. Her marriage was ending. She was still learning to descend stairs without clutching the rail, and now she might receive more money than anyone in her family had ever possessed. Naomi expected triumph. She felt fear. Money that large didn't simply solve problems. It created decisions. She called Rebecca Shaw, her divorce attorney. I need to tell you something. Rebecca listened. Then said, do not move anything until we document everything. It's mine, right? Generally, inherited assets can be treated separately, but circumstances matter. I am not giving you a one-sentence answer involving millions of dollars. Marcus can't claim it? I'll answer after reviewing the documents. Naomi smiled. That sounded expensive. It was. Rebecca? Yes? I don't want him to know. He'll learn whatever the law requires him to learn. Beyond that, we handle this carefully. Naomi agreed. Then she called Henry. I don't want all of it in cash. What? I want to keep part of Sinclair. Henry paused. You can retain equity. The transaction is primarily the industrial portfolio. I want to. Why? Naomi looked around Tasha's kitchen. Maggie hadn't given her a lottery ticket. She had given her a seat. I want to learn. That decision changed Naomi's life even more than the money. At closing, roughly $5 million became available after transaction reserves and planning. Naomi retained a significant ownership interest in Sinclair Urban Holdings. She didn't buy a mansion. She didn't buy a sports car. She bought a 3-bedroom townhouse near Ava's school. Cash. Not because it was sophisticated, because after months of instability, Naomi wanted one door nobody could tell her she wasn't allowed to walk through. The first night, the house was nearly empty. Mattresses. 3 lamps. Pizza. Ava ran from room to room. Which bedroom is mine? Pick. Any one? Any one. Ava chose the smallest because it had a window seat. That night, mother and daughter ate pizza on the floor. Ava fell asleep against Naomi. Naomi looked around. No Marcus. No wedding photographs. No furniture from the old house. No history. For the first time, emptiness didn't feel like loss. It felt like space. Marcus learned about the house 2 weeks later. You bought a townhouse? Yes. With what money? Naomi's body tightened. Why? Because 4 months ago you were worried about medical bills. I handled it. How? Marcus, we're divorcing. I'm still Ava's father, and she has a beautiful room. That's not what I asked. Naomi looked through the kitchen window. You don't get to audit my survival. He went quiet. Is there someone else? Naomi almost laughed. No. Then where did the money come from? Goodbye, Marcus. She hung up. The divorce was finalized 9 months after the accident. Naomi wore navy. Marcus wore gray. Celeste wasn't there. Outside the courthouse, Marcus approached. You look good. Naomi smiled faintly. I can walk. I can see that. I'm glad. Thank you. He studied her. You're different. Naomi considered it. No. No? I think you knew me when I was willing to disappear into us. His face changed. Naomi regretted how sharp it sounded. Not because it wasn't true, because she no longer wanted to wound him. Take care of yourself, Marcus. Then she walked away. 2 years passed, then 3. Carter Studio became Carter Urban Strategies. Naomi stopped seeing herself primarily as a designer. She became an investor, a strategist, a developer. She used part of her inheritance to buy a neglected 6-unit building with Sinclair Urban Holdings. Everyone thought it was a terrible property. Leaking roof, vacant apartments, unusable basement, a struggling retail tenant. Naomi saw something else. The building stood 6 blocks from a hospital preparing a major expansion. She reconfigured 2 oversized apartments, renovated the others, restructured the retail lease, converted basement space into rentable storage. Within 18 months, the building was worth significantly more. Then came another, and another. Naomi never became reckless. The accident had cured her of believing anything was guaranteed. She kept cash reserves, read contracts, asked unpleasant questions, walked away from deals everyone else loved. By 39, Naomi's net worth had passed $12 million. Few people knew. She drove a 4-year-old Lexus, wore good clothes, never flashy ones, packed Ava's lunch when she had time, still experienced pain in her left knee when it rained, still kept her old cane in a closet, and still kept her wedding ring. It sat beside Maggie's letter. One represented a promise somebody else broke. The other represented value someone recognized in Naomi before she recognized it herself. For years, she needed both. Marcus's life appeared successful. He married Celeste 18 months after the divorce. Larger house, promotion, new Mercedes, lake house, vacations. Ava moved between the 2 homes. Naomi never criticized Marcus to her, not once. It was one of the hardest disciplines of her life. When Ava was 12, she came home furious. Dad missed my recital. Naomi closed her laptop. What happened? He had a meeting. I'm sorry. He always has meetings. Ava sat beside her. After a while, she asked, Did Dad leave because of me? Naomi's chest tightened. No. Then why? Naomi had prepared for this question for years. None of her prepared answers felt good enough. Your father made choices because of things happening inside him. Sometimes adults hurt people while chasing something they think will make them happier. Celeste? Celeste was part of it. Do you hate her? No. Ava frowned. She took Dad. No one takes a person who doesn't choose to go. Ava stared. That doesn't mean what happened was okay, Naomi continued. But I never want you thinking women are responsible for choices men make. Do you hate Dad? No. Did you? Naomi smiled sadly. Sometimes. Mom, I'm human. Ava laughed. Would you marry him again? No. The answer came so quickly they both laughed. Would you marry anyone again? Naomi looked toward the window. I don't know. Because there was one thing she hadn't rebuilt. Trust. Men asked her out. Sometimes she said yes. Coffee. Dinner. Then something inside her retreated. She called it work. Sometimes fear wears respectable clothes. Then, 7 years after the accident, Marcus called at 1:13 in the morning. Naomi answered because Ava was staying with him. What happened? It's me. I know. Where's Ava? Sleeping. Is she okay? Yes. Naomi sat up. Then why are you calling? Marcus took a breath. Celeste left. Naomi said nothing. She's been seeing someone. The symmetry was almost insulting. I'm sorry. You're sorry? Yes. I thought you'd enjoy it. I don't. Why? Because Ava spends time in that house. Silence. Then Marcus asked, How did you do it? Do what? Survive. Naomi looked at the clock. Marcus? I'm serious. You're calling the woman you left in rehabilitation to ask how to survive your wife leaving? I know how that sounds. Do you? I deserve that. Naomi sighed. Go to sleep. I can't. You will eventually. Naomi. What? I'm sorry. She froze. Marcus had apologized before. Kind of. Sorry things happened this way. Sorry you were hurt. Sorry we couldn't make it work. This was different. I'm sorry for leaving you there. Naomi didn't speak. I've thought about that hospital room for years. Why tonight? Because Celeste packed a suitcase while I stood in the doorway asking her not to leave. His voice cracked. And I remembered you looking at me from that hospital bed. Naomi closed her eyes. I finally understood what I did. Tears came. Not because she still loved him, because wounds can ache after they've stopped bleeding. I needed you. I know. No. You know now. Marcus began crying quietly. Naomi let him. Then she said something she never imagined saying. I forgive you. Silence. What? I forgive you. Naomi let him. But I don't want you back. I know. It doesn't erase anything. I know. And it doesn't make what happened okay. I know. It means I'm tired of carrying it. Marcus breathed. Thank you. Naomi ended the call. She cried for 10 minutes. Then slept better than she had in years. She believed that was the end of their story. It wasn't. 6 months later, Marcus walked into a conference room and stopped. Naomi sat at the opposite end of the table. Naomi? She looked up. Hello, Marcus. What are you doing here? Naomi closed her folder. She wore cream. Her natural curls rested against her shoulders. Nothing about her resembled the woman he'd left in a hospital room. And yet she was still that woman. People do not become strong by erasing the person who suffered. They carry her forward. Marcus looked around. Executives from his company sat on one side. Sinclair Urban Holdings representatives sat on the other. He looked at the presentation screen. Carter Sinclair Development Partners. Then at Naomi. You're Carter? Usually. The attorney cleared his throat. As we were explaining, Carter Sinclair is the lead equity partner in the proposed recapitalization. Marcus sat slowly. His company wasn't bankrupt, but it had overextended itself buying mixed-use properties before financing conditions changed. Debt maturities were approaching. One institutional investor wanted out. The company needed new capital. Marcus knew Sinclair was interested. He had no idea Naomi was one of its principal investors. How long? He asked. Naomi knew what he meant. 7 years. You've been doing this for 7 years? Yes. Why didn't Ava tell me? Naomi raised an eyebrow. Because our daughter isn't an intelligence service. Several people looked down to hide smiles. How much of Sinclair do you own? That isn't relevant. It is to me. Naomi leaned back. Then perhaps that's part of the problem. The meeting continued, and Marcus discovered something more unsettling than her money. Naomi was very good. She asked about occupancy, debt, management costs, tenant retention, capital expenditure. She challenged the CFO, rejected optimistic assumptions, praised one acquisition Marcus himself had led. No revenge, no humiliation. By the end, Marcus wasn't looking at his ex-wife. He was looking at someone whose judgment could determine whether his company survived. After the others left, Marcus remained. So it was true. What? The townhouse. Naomi smiled faintly. You're still thinking about that? Where did the money come from? Maggie Sinclair. Your old client? She left me part of her company. Marcus sat back. How much? Enough. How much, Naomi? Why does the number matter? Because I'm trying to understand. No, you're trying to calculate. His jaw tightened. That's unfair. Is it? Marcus stood. I spent years thinking you were barely holding things together. I was. But you had millions? Eventually. And never said anything? We were divorced. You could have... He stopped. Naomi waited. What? You could have helped. There it was. Helped whom? The company. Your company? You knew Ava would eventually inherit from me. Marcus. He stopped. When I was learning to walk, you tried to get me to sign away our house. His face fell. When I thought my career might be over, you were building another life. I know. No. Listen. He did. I didn't owe you poverty after you left me. Marcus looked down. And I definitely didn't owe you rescue because I survived. You're right. Naomi picked up her folder. That said, Carter Sinclair may still invest. Marcus looked up. Why? Because the assets are good. That's it? That's enough. The deal went forward. Carter Sinclair acquired a significant minority position and refinanced part of the debt. Naomi joined the board. Marcus remained president. For 18 months, they worked in the same orbit. At first it was awkward. Then professional. Eventually ordinary. Once, during a budget meeting, Marcus sighed. You've always been impossible. Naomi looked at him. And yet you married me. Worst due diligence of my career. Naomi laughed so hard the CFO looked concerned. Ava, now 14, found the situation hilarious. My parents are business partners. Minority business partners, Naomi corrected. You own more than Dad. That is not dinner conversation. It's dinner. I'm conversing. Then Ava looked between them. Are you getting back together? No, both said immediately. Ava laughed. Okay, checking. And they meant it. Forgiveness didn't lead backward. Sometimes it simply allowed two people to occupy the same room without the past controlling the temperature. Around that time, Naomi met Daniel Brooks. Not at a gala, not at a board meeting. She met him because he stole her parking space. Naomi had been circling a crowded arts center parking lot when a dark SUV slid into the space she was approaching. She leaned on the horn. The driver climbed out, tall, black, early 40s, glasses, a little gray at the temples. He pointed to himself. Naomi lowered the window. Yes, you. I was here first. You absolutely were not. I had my signal on. So did I. Then we were both optimistic. Naomi stared. He smiled. Annoyingly good smile. Move your car. I have a meeting. So do I. He glanced at the building. Women in Development Mentorship Program? Yes. His expression changed. You're Naomi Carter. She narrowed her eyes. Why? My niece has an article about you framed in her dorm room. Naomi blinked. That was unexpectedly specific. I'm Daniel. I still want the parking space, Daniel. He laughed, then moved his car. Inside, Naomi discovered Daniel was an orthopedic surgeon volunteering with a foundation supporting low-income accident survivors. She looked at his name badge. Orthopedic surgeon. Yes, of course. What does that mean? You steal parking spaces and repair the consequences. Daniel laughed. They had coffee 2 weeks later. Naomi almost canceled. Then didn't. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became months. And months became something Naomi hadn't planned for. Peace. Daniel didn't rescue her. He didn't need to. He didn't compete with her success. He had his own. He didn't interrogate her history. He listened. One rainy evening, Naomi's knee hurt badly. Daniel noticed the limp. You okay? Old injury. Need anything? No. Okay. That was it. No pity. No dramatics. No turning her pain into an opportunity to prove he was needed. Naomi realized how deeply she loved him in that ordinary moment. 2 years later, Daniel proposed. At Naomi's kitchen table. He placed a small box beside her coffee. Naomi stared. Daniel? I have a speech. No. You haven't heard it. I'm already crying. Good sign. She laughed. He opened the box. Simple. Elegant. Beautiful. Naomi stared, then stood. I'll be back. Daniel looked confused. That's not normally part of a proposal. Naomi returned, carrying a wooden box. Inside were Maggie's letter and her old wedding ring. Daniel looked at her. For years, I kept this because I thought getting rid of it meant pretending my marriage never mattered. He listened. It mattered. Ava came from it, A version of me came from it, and everything afterward changed me. Naomi placed the old ring on the table. But I don't need it anymore. Daniel took her hand. Are you saying yes? I'm getting there. Take your time. She laughed. Yes. Daniel smiled. Yes? Yes. Someone screamed from the hallway. I knew it. Naomi jumped. Ava appeared. You were listening? I live here. You're 16. Exactly. I know everything. Naomi laughed until she cried. They married the next spring. Marcus attended. At the reception, he approached Naomi. You look happy. I am. He glanced toward Daniel. He's a good man. He is. Marcus smiled. You deserved that the first time. Naomi looked at him. There was no anger left. Only history. So did you. He seemed surprised. You weren't happy either, Marcus. You just handled it terribly. He laughed. That's the nicest version of what happened I've heard. It's been 10 years. I've edited. They smiled. Then Marcus asked, if the accident never happened, do you think we'd still be married? Naomi looked across the ballroom. Ava danced badly with Tasha. Daniel laughed with Luis. She remembered the hospital, the empty chair, the bare finger, Marcus telling her not to come home. No. Marcus looked surprised. You don't? No. Why? Because the accident didn't destroy our marriage. She looked directly at him. It revealed it. Marcus absorbed that. And it revealed me too. He nodded. Congratulations, Naomi. Thank you. Years later, during an interview, a journalist asked Naomi when her life had changed. He expected her to say the inheritance. $7 million. Real estate. Her company. Daniel. Naomi said, in a rehabilitation gym. The journalist frowned. What happened there? I stood up. That's it? Naomi smiled. That's everything. She explained. There had been a morning when she couldn't imagine crossing a room. Her husband was gone. Her business was uncertain. Her body hurt. Her future seemed smaller than her past. Elena stood in front of her. Again. Naomi said she couldn't. Then she stood. 3 seconds. 5. 8. That was the beginning, Naomi said. Not the inheritance? No. The money changed your life. Absolutely. It gave you freedom. It gave me options. What's the difference? Naomi thought. Money helped me choose what came next. It didn't make me believe there could be a next. Where did that belief come from? Naomi smiled. 8 seconds. Years after Maggie's death, Naomi framed part of her letter. It hung inside Carter Sinclair Development. Value can hide inside things other people have already dismissed. Below it, Naomi added one word. People. At 45, Naomi created the Sinclair Carter Recovery Fund. Emergency rent. Temporary housing. Career retraining. Childcare. Rehabilitation support. For women facing financial instability after serious accidents or major medical crises. Naomi knew most women didn't receive inheritances. That was precisely the point. Her financial recovery had involved extraordinary luck. She never pretended otherwise. But she remembered what it felt like to lie in a hospital bed while the person who was supposed to protect her explained why her suffering had become inconvenient. She couldn't change that moment for herself. She could make it less devastating for somebody else. At the first recovery center's opening, Naomi stood behind a podium. Ava sat in the front row. Daniel beside her. Tasha. Luis. Elena. Henry Wallace, now retired. And near the back, Marcus. Ava had invited him. Naomi looked across the room. 10 years ago, I woke up in a hospital and discovered I'd survived an accident. She paused. For a while, I thought surviving was the good part. Soft laughter. Then my husband left. Marcus lowered his eyes. My business struggled. My body stopped doing things I'd assumed it would always do. And I became terrified of a question many women have asked. Naomi looked around. What happens to me if the life I depended on disappears? Silence. I wish I could tell you I answered courageously. She smiled. I did not. Laughter. I cried. I complained. I got angry. I was terrified. Some days I was brave before lunch and completely useless by dinner. The room laughed again. But I learned something. Naomi looked at Ava. The woman you are when everything is going well isn't the only version of you. Ava's eyes filled. There's another woman inside you. Naomi paused. Sometimes you don't meet her until the plan fails, until somebody leaves, until the money disappears, until your body changes, until the door closes. Daniel watched her. She may frighten you because she's never had to exist before. Naomi smiled. But give her time. Silence. She learns. Applause began softly. Naomi waited. I was extraordinarily fortunate. Margaret Sinclair gave me an inheritance I never expected. Naomi glanced at Maggie's photograph. But the greatest thing Maggie gave me wasn't money. She touched the framed letter. She reminded me that being overlooked and being worthless aren't the same thing. The room became silent again. And sometimes the person who has underestimated you most isn't your husband, your employer, your family, or the world. Naomi touched her chest. It's you. Ava wiped her eyes. Marcus did too. After the ceremony, Naomi found him beside Maggie's photograph. Good speech, Marcus said. Thank you. I hated one part. Which? The husband leaving. Naomi smiled. You did that. I know. That's why I hated it. They laughed. Then Marcus looked toward Ava. You raised an incredible kid. We raised her. He looked at Naomi. You really mean that? Yes. Thank you. Marcus started toward the exit, then stopped. Naomi? Yes? When you learned about Maggie's money, did you ever think about calling me? Naomi considered lying. No. Marcus laughed painfully. That quickly? Yes. Why? Naomi looked at him. Because for the first time after the accident, I had something that felt safe. His smile disappeared, and I wasn't safe anymore. It wasn't a question. No. Marcus nodded slowly. I understand. Then he walked away. Naomi watched him cross the room. Once, watching Marcus leave had felt like death. Now it was simply a man walking toward an elevator. That was healing too. Not dramatic, not cinematic. Ordinary. The next evening, Naomi went home. Daniel was making pasta badly. Ava was packing for college loudly. Boxes covered the hallway. Naomi went upstairs and opened the closet. Her old cane stood in the back. She pulled it out. Daniel appeared in the doorway. What are you doing? Looking at something. You okay? Yes. Naomi ran her hand along the cane. For years, she'd kept it because she feared needing it again. Then because it reminded her how far she'd come. Now it only occupied space. Think the recovery center could use it? Daniel smiled. Probably. Good. She placed it near the donation box. Then she saw the small wooden jewelry box. Naomi opened it. Empty. Her first wedding ring was gone. She had finally sold it 2 years earlier. Not because she needed money. She donated the proceeds to the first woman helped by the recovery fund. Brianna. 32. Mother of 2. Injured in a warehouse accident. She needed 3 months of rent while undergoing rehabilitation. The ring that once represented Naomi's broken marriage had paid for another woman's safe place to recover. Naomi liked that ending better. Mom! Ava shouted. What? Where's my passport? In the drawer where I told you to put it. It's not there. Naomi looked at Daniel. It's there. I believe you. Want to bet? No. I've learned. They walked into the hallway. Ava stood surrounded by boxes. I checked. Naomi opened the drawer. The passport was on top. Ava stared. That wasn't there. Of course. Daniel nodded. Drawers are deceptive. Naomi laughed. Ava grabbed the passport, then suddenly hugged her. Naomi froze. What's this? I'm leaving in 3 days. For college, not war. Still. Naomi wrapped her arms around her. Ava rested her head against Naomi's shoulder. I'm proud of you. Naomi's eyes filled. For finding your passport? No. Ava pulled back. For everything. Naomi looked at her daughter. The tiny girl she'd once feared she wouldn't be strong enough to lift. The child who watched her learn to walk. The teenager who watched two imperfect parents learn to stop punishing one another. The young woman preparing to build her own life. Naomi kissed her forehead. "Thank you." Ava smiled. "And I'm still taking your green coat." "No." "See? Healing incomplete." Daniel laughed. Ava ran. Naomi chased her down the hallway. Her knee hurt. She chased her anyway. And maybe that was the real ending. Not the millions. Not Marcus's regret. Not the successful company. Not the new marriage. Not even Maggie's recovery center. The real ending was that Naomi eventually stopped organizing her life around what had happened to her. The accident became something that had happened. Marcus became someone she had once loved. The betrayal became a scar. The inheritance became a responsibility. And her second life stopped feeling like the life she built after losing the first. It simply became her life. There is a temptation in stories like Naomi's to believe victory comes when the person who hurt you finally realizes what they lost. When Marcus discovered Naomi was wealthy, when he walked into that conference room and realized his ex-wife controlled the capital his company needed, when he saw her with Daniel, when he watched hundreds applaud her, those moments mattered. But they weren't Naomi's victory. Because if your healing requires the person who hurt you to regret hurting you, that person still controls part of your healing. Naomi's victory came much earlier. Quietly, in a rehabilitation gym, her hands gripping two metal bars, her leg trembling, Elena standing in front of her. Again, Naomi saying, "I can't." Then standing anyway. 3 seconds. 5, 8. Years later, she would build companies, invest millions, buy buildings, help women, raise a daughter, fall in love again. But all of those things began with 8 seconds almost nobody saw. And that was why Maggie's greatest gift wasn't $7 million. It was a reminder. Value can remain hidden inside what somebody else has dismissed. A neglected building, a struggling business, an injured body, a broken heart, a woman sitting alone after someone decided she was no longer worth staying for. For months, Naomi believed Marcus leaving meant she had lost the life that made her valuable. Eventually, she discovered something more important. Marcus had never been the source of her value. Neither was Maggie. Neither was money. Neither was Daniel. Neither was success. They could recognize it, support it, love it, invest in it, but they couldn't create it. It had been there all along. And once Naomi understood that, becoming a millionaire stopped being the most remarkable thing that happened to her. Becoming herself again was. So if Naomi's journey stayed with you, tell me in the comments, when do you think Naomi truly won? Was it when she inherited the money, when she learned to walk again, when Marcus discovered who she had become, or when she forgave him without going back? And if you believe a woman's life can become bigger than the betrayal that tried to define her, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story. Share Naomi's story with someone who may need to hear it today. Because sometimes starting over doesn't mean you lost everything. Sometimes it's the first chance you've had in years to discover what was yours all along.